I find it very interesting. You'll speak to a lot of Bitcoin maxis, and most of them will just stay there. What made you venture outwards and look beyond Bitcoin?
I think I realized very quickly that Bitcoin's goal was just to stay there as a store of value, and it was not ever going to be anything more than that. For most people, that's okay, but I saw the technology or the ideas behind the technology had a lot greater ramifications than just store value. I believe Bitcoin's always going to be slow. And that's a feature, not a bug, by the way. It's going to stay the way it is. It's not going to innovate. There's a new opportunity to actually coordinate the world's assets. As everything is going very, very digital, there needs to be this coordination layer that allows you to really coordinate users' intentions around what they want to do with the assets in a very scalable way. Nobody was building that. I saw an opportunity to do that at Facebook, jumped at that with both hands, had a lot of fun. We didn't get to launch, unfortunately, for various reasons. But now with Misten, we can realize that dream and do that at a much accelerated pace than was ever possible. One of the things I'm most proud about that we invented recently was something called ZK Login and also sponsored transactions. ZK Login allows you to use your existing Facebook account, Google account, any OAuth-based Web2 account to create a wallet and start transacting without worrying about gas, because sponsored transactions will cover the gas on your behalf. But you can build compelling Web2 experiences using Sui without introducing people to the concept of wallets, which I think are the dumbest thing ever created. Mm-hmm. Wallets should not exist. That's our view. Like, quite frankly, you should be able to onboard using your existing Web2 account, start transacting with crypto without ever having to worry about wallets and all the complexities of the infrastructure. Divorcing the infrastructure from the consumer is the barrier we have to solve, and we've solved that in an immensely great way at Mr. Labs. And Sui ecosystem is starting to grow. We're seeing the amount of growth on Web2 accounts on the Sui ecosystem significantly, and I think our view by 2030, majority of games will have a form of ownership, and it will be powered by Sui. So we're on board 3 billion gamers onto the platform.
Solana came to fruition and came to the market 3 or 4 years ago already, and they were the big newcomers. I think a lot of people consider Sui to be that right now, in the last year at least. How difficult is it to attract developers and the users? A lot of people just ask, why do we need another blockchain?
Yeah, from our perspective, I think Sui has been around for a year and 3 to 4 months. We're already number 2 behind Solana and non-EVM, and that's growing really, really fast. Our view is not to think of ourselves as a competitor to Solana or other layer ones. Our view is much broader. Sui was designed from day one without any limitation on scale, the ability to scale horizontally. We're going after a bigger market, literally the coordination layer for the internet. So a world where everyone owns assets that are digital, you need a layer to coordinate people's actions, but to do that at a world where it's very frictionless for the user to do so. That for us is a multi-trillion opportunity rather than a layer one, which is a couple of $1 billion opportunity, which I think is actually quite of value right now. For us, we're going to keep building, and everything we do, we recently announced Walrus, which is another venture. Now, once you've got coordination, you need a layer to store the world's assets as well. Beyond coordinating the world's assets, you need to be able to store websites, images, and define ownership around data. So as you see, we're building the layer of what the internet of the future is going to be. The future of the internet is going to be one where people own the protocols by which they interact. I own a piece of the internet. I can't own TCP/IP. I can't own Google and use Google. I own a piece of the internet, and for me to extract value from the internet, I give back to the community and extract value in that sense. That is a very democratic view of the future, and that's one we're very excited about. And I think it's going to create a new form of economic models and opportunities for open source software that's never been possible before. I'm very excited about the opportunities there.
What do you think of all the distractions this year? You know, celebrity meme coins on Solana and other chains, you know, Ethereum, they've all got them. There's a lot of degeneracy. What do you think about everything that's going on? And is it a distraction, or does it draw people in and potentially drive some adoption?
I think the worst use case to onboard the mass market is that kind of activity, quite frankly. If people come in and the first thing you can do is buy something weird and funny and it doesn't really have much value, I think we're doing a disservice. Our focus has always been on building real enterprise value for people in the ecosystem. We announced a partnership with USDC recently with Circle, who are going to allow stablecoins on Sui, which now allows you to use your Google account to sign in. Now you can send money just like email. So there's no need to have a wallet, no onboarding, no complex mechanisms. Our goal is to drive the 3.3 billion gamers into Sui and anybody that wants to do any form of commerce into Sui. So we're focused on real impactful use cases at the scale of the world rather than the minute world of Web3 that exists today. Now, I'm not against everything that happens in Web3. I think they have their place. And I also think you do need some element of experimentation to figure out the real use cases. Mm-hmm. I just think let's be careful not to make that the defining product of the space. We don't have gas fees that spike through the roof. You don't have transactions required to try again and again. Mm-hmm. You don't have outages that go on for random times where you actually need to trade. You don't have a max throughput. The network, you throw more hardware capacity to the network and it scales horizontally. The stuff you expect from infrastructure, mm-hmm. Which you don't get from Web3 as a whole. And I think we're bringing that level of execution to Web3, and I think it's about time.
Some networks have struggled at times, especially when they get a huge amount of users and transactions and volume. When do you become battle tested? When does that happen? I mean,
So
you say it hasn't happened, but
Yeah.
it could happen where you get a huge influx of users and it's going to test your system, and that's
Good
when you
question.
really know.
Well, certainly the amount of users in Web3 today is so low that the outages that are happening now are pitiful. Like, it should not be happening. There aren't enough users in Web3 to take SWE down. So the amount of scale that leading layer L1s propose to have is just not there. We've found that you might say you're having 100 million transactions hitting the network, but realistically, it's not. The numbers are way smaller. We benchmark SWE in the limited in the mainnet configuration, which is our smallest configuration, to 297,000 transfers per second. That is more than Visa, Amex, MasterCard combined. So we have ample block space to take on existing payments rails. And if that's not enough, validators can double capacity, triple capacity. We've proven that you add 7 times the capacity, you 7x the throughput, and you increase the latency by 0. So there's no increase in latency. That's how scale works. So we have no worries about being able to take on the world's demands, but I think the other networks do, which is why they have to quote a TPS, or they have to quote these numbers to show that they've got some element of ability to deal with the demand. But when any kind of reasonable transactions, kind of meaningful volume comes onto the networks usually go down. I mean, SWE's never gone down. We never had any outage, and I hope that stays like that forever. The infrastructure is very hard to run and operate. I'm not using that as a chance to bash other networks. It's hard to run distributed systems. But our hope is we keep on having the excellence in execution engineering that we built up in working some of the largest institutions in the world.
Bringing the wider world into the blockchain ecosystem. Do you see stablecoins playing a very important part in this? Now you guys have announced this partnership with USDC. Will you be open to other stablecoins, and is that the impetus for bringing the rest of the financial system?
Yeah, I think having a variety of stablecoins is going to be critical. Having as many stablecoins as possible is actually only giving consumers more choice in which stablecoins they want to use for certain kind of use cases. So I think they're going to be the underpinning pieces that allow you to drive real consumer use cases. Paying for milk or paying for produce in something stable is the way to go. And also stablecoins give people in other countries who have unstable currencies access to stable currency as a way to hedge economic uncertainties to deal with. So I think they're going to be very important.
What's the vision for SWE in the future? Would I be able to log into my Facebook account and use it to tap and pay for everyday goods?
Absolutely. I think you'll be able to do that before the end of the year.
Okay, fantastic. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Stash. You go to getstash.com. You can sign up with your Google account. And you already have the ability to type a wallet and choose a username, so you don't have to worry about addresses. Your name can be Matt at Stash, and people can send you money instantly. We're going to be implementing on and off ramps directly. Mm-hmm. Also, USDC is going to be on it. So now you have a way to email money to anybody you want. They can receive that money and go on and off ramp with it immediately, rather than having to worry about wallets and downloads. That's our vision, and that's very unique to SWE. Our goal is mass adoption, and you go where the consumers are and don't tell them to come into the Web3 world.
When you look at bringing this many people in across the world, obviously regulators are going to start looking at things like this. If I can just log into a blockchain-based system with a Web2 profile, does proof of personhood matter? And how will you navigate the complexities of financial rules and the ability to transact without maybe not having the right licenses and that kind of
thing? I've always maintained that blockchains are the best content distribution networks for money. It's DRM for money.
Yeah.
And then you add the fact that it's a great irrefutable record of what has happened. Unlike cash, that is really untraceable, right? So I think it augments the experience, the ability to actually deal with compliance rather than the opposite, which has been what's been sold. Our view on SWE is you actually have the ability to build in interesting compliance mechanisms for your tokens. If you want, you can have closed loop tokens. If you don't want your tokens to go out of a circulation, you can have trading pools that are KYC'd, column account. You cannot trade in a particular trading pool versus others. So you can build in public verifiable compliance rules on chain for certain assets and have some completely permissionless and free. So look forward to what people build on SWE.